Okay, you're good.
Okay, I can start. Okay, everybody, thank you for coming. We're in a sugya on Kuf Lamin Zayin on Beis in Mavabasra, and it's related to the idea of basically estrogim, and it sort of comes up because basically, the Gemara is discussing here about dinim of Yerusha, and the Gemara basically talks about the idea of people being Yerush certain things. If I'm a Morish and I give an individual Yerusha and I say I want to give it to him and Acharecha to him, so basically, so does that first person have a right to do things with it? And then the Gemara gets into the topic, and that gets the topic of whether or not the first individual has a kin paris or kin aguf on the item or not. Now, the Gemara talks about this regards to estrogim, whether or not a kin paris on an estrog is enough to be yotzi with the mitzvah with it. And then the Gemara gets in this topic about estrogim, related to Yerusha. So I'm going to read the Gemara inside. It says the Gemara, Amar Rabba Barafuna, says Rabba Barafuna, Ha'achim shekanu estrog, the tofasos habayis, brothers which bought estrogim with the money accrued by the the estate of the house, or their father's estate. So what's the din regarding if they could be yotzi in the mitzvah or not? Says the Gemara, Natlu echan mehen, if one of them took the esrog, the yatsa bo, im yachal ochlo yatsa, if he was able to eat it, i.e., if the Rashbam explains that if the other brothers won't mind in eating it, that the simon he owns it, because after all, eating an item, esrog, represents achila, and therefore I could be yotzi the mitzvah with the esrog. It's considered lachem, the imlav, and if not, lo yatsa, if the other brothers mind and they don't allow me to eat it. So obviously, I'm not a full-on owner because they obviously have reservations about how much I own it fully, whether or not I can eat it or not eat it, and therefore I'm not yotzi because it's not considered lachem fully. V'davka diika esrog. So that line of the Gemara, I don't want to translate now. That needs some explanation. But up until now, what emerges from the Gemara is that if I inherit a large sum of money, or I inherit esrogim, and I want to use that esrog to be yotzi the mitzvah with it, so the halacha is that if the other people in the estate with me, they don't mind me eating the esrog, so that's the simon that I own it, and therefore I could use the esrog. And if not, and meaning that if they do care about eating it, and they don't want me to eat it, that's a simon that I own it fully, and therefore I will not be yotzi the din of lachem with this esrog. Now, the Rashbam over here raises a question that we know there's a minhag, or there was a minhag, for the entire congregation to buy the esrog, and the esrog has been passed along from one person to the other person to the other person. So obviously there, it's not going to be eaten because the second person, third person wants to use it, wants to yotzi the mitzvah with it. So how exactly does that work? Because meaning what simply emerges from our Gemara is that as a minimum, to be yotzi an esrog for sukkis, for it to be lachem, is I have to have the ability to eat the esrog, because that eating esrog shows ownership. So if we all buy esrog together as a congregation, how does that work? So it says the Rashbam, I'm reading from the Rashbam, approximately the second Y line in the Rashbam, uminig shalanu, says the Rashbam, shenoah, I guess the second of the wider lines in the Rashbam, uminig shalanu, says the Rashbam, shenoah gulavarach koakal be'esrog echad. How can that happen? According to our Gemara, that's not okay. That everyone's das is to give matana my chelik to my friend. Right, as there's the story is brought up that they all were yotzei with one esrog. And that was not mafarish to you. I didn't tell you explicitly. I'm giving to you b'matana, and then next guy also matana. Command the parish dummy. Why? Meaning, just like we know that matana amanas lahachser works, even though I was not mafarish to you, this is amanas. You give it to the guy number 2. The guy number 3, it's still okay because it's low guard the matana amanas lahachser. Delahachi mias das koakal shave shinosin leko echad ad shivarach alav. Because the entire das, the entire congregation is equal. That I'll give it to you, and then after make a bracha, then I'll make a bracha with it, and then I'll give it to you, and so on and so forth. And therefore, it's not a problem that I can't eat it. V'hani bilugan tavrisha. Avav sheni amri mitoch shiyotz b'shol yotz b'gozel. Meaning, there's no din of lachem Yom Rishon by Yom Sheni. The Torah only says lachem in regards to Yom Rishon, and therefore we're less strict about this issue on Yom Sheni. Obviously, if it's we don't even have to do this whole idea of giving everyone to Matana Amnas Lahaksir, because on Yom Sheni you don't even have to fully own it midaraisa. Now I want to get to the important line of the Rashbam. The Rashbam says, "Umasha kasib svarim v'dafka esrog avoparish v'rimo lo." Arichas perish of shotim haim, who ve'enam in a Gemara can't hear b'einai. The Rashbam does not understand the last line of the Gemara. But Dafka dika asher kochad v'chad a portion of the Rashbam says, I don't understand what's that talking about. It is the not correct pshat, and he takes it out of Gemara. That's what the Rashbam says. So far we're good. However, Tosfos over here, different maskal of a parish, argues on the Rashbam. Now read Tosfos inside. Tosfos says as follows: Perish b'kontris. Lo Garcina La, we don't have to scare yourself on a partial Ramon. It says Tosfos. V'yesh shafarish b'dochak. And I could say it b'dochak. How do I say it? Davka d'chayesh l'nosin esrog movad osa shenatal mekabel matana. Meaning, specifically, when do you yotze the mitzvah? You yotze the mitzvah only when the nosin esrog had more than one esrog. Meaning, I give you an esrog as a matana to use, or I'm the achin, and I allowed you to use one of the esrogim, which we all inherited together, or all bought together from the money of the inheritance. So if I had another esrog, then you're yotze. However, says Rashbam, Tosfos, sorry, avo less leila nosein ela parash rimon lo yasa. But if I only had one esrog, we only bought together one esrog, and then we bought other fruits with the money, or we inherited other fruits with other fruits, for example, a rimon or a parish, then you're not yotze. Why not? Distama yakbit in yecho hala esrog, because if I only had one esrog and the other things I have, other fruits, I am distama makbit on you eating it, and therefore I'm not yotze. Says Tosfos. V'dochek. So what does Tosfos explain? Tosfos the Gemara explains as follows: that when the Gemara says the v'dafka deika esrog chochad v'chad of a partial malo, what that means is as follows: that specifically, if the brothers, or the brother who's a mamuna, who's in charge of all the people, the nechasim that they inherited, if that individual, if the brothers together had more than one esrog, then you're yotze. Because even if you eat it, right, I am not mocked because hare there are other esrogim. But if I only had one esrog or one riman or parish, so if you eat the esrog, that's all esrog left, and therefore it's a simin that I'm probably makbid, and therefore I am not going to be yotze. He says that's the parish. Now I think the question which emerges from Tosfos, which we hopefully will deal with, or maybe not, but I guess at least to raise the question, is that I guess the reason why he thinks it's dochik, and perhaps whether Rashbam took it out, is because seemingly the Gemara is repeating itself. All Tosfos is saying is a simin, perhaps, for why achila is so important, or I guess not a simin. I would say a indicator as to whether or not you are makbid on the achila or not. Now, if that's true, the Gemara is sort of repeating itself, meaning it doesn't really necessarily have to be in the Gemara. I could get the point. If I'm able to eat it, then I have full ownership, then I'm yotze. If not. So what's the Gemara is giving us a indicator as to whether or not I care about the achila. That's okay, but that's not really needed. What's that adding? So that's perhaps why Tosfos says it's v'dochik. And that's perhaps why the Rashbam took it out of the Gemara. That's so far so good. However, this is where things are interesting, because the Rambam in Hilchos Lulav brings down this halacha. I want to read the Rambam. The Rambam says in Hilchos Lulav, Perak Ches, halacha Yud Aleph, as follows: Shutzin shekanu esrog, shekanu lulav. Sorry. Oh, esrog b'shutzvus. Shutzvus was bought an esrog lulav b'shutzvus. Ein echad mehan yotzi bo hidei chovaso. No one's yotzi d'rechiyif. Barishon on the first day Yontiv. Ad sheyiti lo chalkam matana, until I give it to you. I give you my chilik matana, meaning I own it. I'm a shut with you, and I give you my chilik of our shut with matana. Therefore, you now own the entire thing. Now, separate clause, says the Rambam, ha'achim shekanu esrog mishut mitfisa bais, achim, which brought esrogim from the estate of the house, v'notu echad mehem esrog v'yatzabo. He wants to be yotze with the esrog, im yachol ochlo, v'in achim afkinim akach yatsa. Then you're yotze. V'im hayim afkinim, if they're makbid, lo yatsa, ad sheyindu lo chalkam matana. Okay, so far we're okay. Now the Rambam says, "V'imkana ze esrog, ze parish, o shekanu ke'echad." Well, they bought together esrog v'rimon of a parish mitfis abayis and a yotze be'esrog achitelo chelkom matana. Right. So the Rambam clearly does have the girsa of Tosfos and not of the Rashbam. That if we all bought an esrog together, or we bought a parish together, or esrog rimon and parish together, then I'm not yotze with esrog until you give me your chilik b'matana. But now this is the line. Va'afal pi shim achlo in makin malav. Says the Rambam, if we bought an esrog or parish rimon together, I, the brother, am not yotze mechiv of esrog until you give me the esrog b'matana. And even though you're not makbid on it, I'm on my achila on it, I'm still not yotze. So first of all, number one, clearly the Rambam A does have the gears of Tosfos, not like the Rashbam. Number two, the Rambam does not learn like Tosfos. Why? Or how do I know this? Because let's think. Lefi Tosfos, the Gemara is doing is basically, I would say, giving us an indicator as to whether or not or when I will be makbid on the achila. Meaning, if I have many meaning but an esrog, then I'm probably makbid on the achila. If I always struggle, I'm not makbid on the achila. The Rambam, even if I am not makbid on the achila, you still have to give it to matana, or else I'm not yotze. So that's clearly they're different. And three, the question is why. I mean, this misvara. Why? Why does that make sense? If you're not makbid on it, so why do you have to give it to matana? Hooray! Isn't that the entire point that we evaluate if they're makbidim or not? So what's the Rambam saying? What does it mean? That's the question on the Rambam. Okay. Now, so I think to understand this Rambam, I want to zoom out and then zoom back into the Rambam. So the Rif actually in Sukkah brings down our Gemara in Bava Basra la halacha, and you learn something from our Gemara in Bava Basra, and I want to read the Rif inside. So the Rif in Sukkah says as follows. This Rif can be found in Mesech the Sukkah. It is on Mem Aleph on Beis with Dafei Rif, and it's on Nun Hey in the the Oz Hadar version. So the Rif quotes our Gemara. The Garcia Nami Hassam in Yesh Nochlim, the Rif there is quoting the first Gemara in Yesh Nochlim in regards to Matana Amanas Lahachzir, and the Rif says as follows: Amarava Baravuna Acham Shekanu Aser with Tfis Sabais, Hel Acham Mehan Yatzabo. Okay, but Dav Kedika Esrog the Chochad V'Chad. Of a partially below, so the Rif does have the Girsa of Tosfos, not the Rashbam. Now, says the Rif, Mishmamina, and I understand from this Gemara of Basra, Dahani Beitrei, these two individuals, Dezavne Lulave B'Shutzfis, that bar Lulav B'Shutzfis, Lo Nafik Bey Chaminayu. No one is Yotze, none of these two shivim are Yotze, Videchovasa, Biyomakama, on the first day of Yontiv, Ad, Diyavi Chalachavre Matana, delay, until I give it to you, Matana, V'ilo, Lo Yatz Nafik, and if I don't give it to you, Matana, you're not Yotze. So the Rif learns from our Gemara, in Bava Basra, that if Shutfim buy a Esrog B'Shutfis to be Yotze with it, they're not Yotze until I give it to you matana. Now, how does Rif see that in our Gemara? So I think it's the head as follows. The Rif makes an equation. He says, just like Acham Shekanu, Bitfisa Bayas or Kona together with the same money, so they're in a sense Shutzvim, And there we say, and the Rif is assuming that they bought it for the sake of being Yotzei. And there we say, we evaluate if you are if you're able to be eating it, then you're Yotzei. If not, because that's a simon of your ownership. So too, should are similar to Achim Shekanu. They're both situations. There's a group of people buying something together with shared funds to be Yotz the mitzvah. And therefore, that's the similarity. And therefore, the reference from our Gemara, the just like our Gemara, the Achim Shekanu, if the guy's makbid, then I have to give it to Matana. The Shutzvim Mechora are probably always makbid because we bought it, but Shutzvim, why do you have more of right than me? And therefore, you are not Yotzei until I give it to Matana. That's how the Rif learns from our Gemara. Okay. The Rajba on Bava Basra brings down this Rif. And the Rajba says as follows. I'm not going to read the Rajba inside, but the Rajba says as follows. That the Rif said from our Gemara in Bava Basra that Shutzim was by Esr together to be Yotzei with it. You are not Yotzei until I give it to you Matana. Says the Rajba, that's not necessarily true. Why not? Because says the Rajba as follows. Says the Rajba, if two individuals buy an item, b'shutfis, to be Yotzei the mitzvah with it, so he says a similar svar to the Rashbam, that Adaita the Hachikanu, that I am allowing you to be Yotzei with it, and you're allowing me to be Yotzei with it. And therefore, says the Rajba, you can't learn from, therefore what? Therefore, Achim Shekanu, right, to equate the Shutfis is not necessarily, I guess in general, just to step back for a second, Shutfis in general, the Rajba says, does not make sense that if they bought it to be Yotzei with it, then they're not going to be Yotzei unless I give to Matana, because by Shutfim, I died to Hachikanu, that will be Yotzei together. Whether that be working off the idea of Matana Amanas Lahachsir, whether they're working off the idea that we bought it with a certain thing in mind that we both allow each other to be Yotzei the mitzvah with it. Rather, says the Rajba, and you can't, and what about Achim Shekanu? Or Achim Shekanu, the case is not that. Meaning, by Achim Shekanu, it can't be that they bought it together to be Yotzei the mitzvah with it. Because then it'll be pashit that you're Yotzei the mitzvah. Rather, says the Rif, Achim Shekanu, the case is, by Achim Shekanu, they bought it together, but not for the mitzvah. They bought it together for achila or for revach, to be benefit from the esrog, whether that be to make it besamin or to make it for fruit, whatever they want to do. They buy the esrog to benefit from it. And there, it's a question. Right? You can't learn from our Gemara, says the Rajba, that Shutfim, they're gonna be that they're gonna be Yotzei with it, that they can't be Yotzei with it, and I'll give them Matana. Why? Because they'll always be Yotzei by Shutfim. Says the Rajba, our Gemara, Achim Shekanu, is where the Achim, but there's no Shaila by Shutfim to be Yotzei with it always. Achim Shekanu is a separate case. Achim Shekanu is the case, says the Rajba, they bought it together to have revach in it. And once they buy together to have revach in it, so now here's the question. Let's say I buy Achim Shekanu, they bought esrog to have benefit from this esrog. Can now they be Yotzei the mitzvah with it? Well, you can't say the svara of Adaiti the Hachikanu, because no, they bought it to have revach, they didn't buy it to be Yotzei the mitzvah with it. And that's the real question. And that's how the Rajva learns our sugya over here. Now, the question is, so clearly, first of all, the Rajba does not make the same equation as the Rif. Meaning the Rif made the equation that Shutfim are the same as Achim Shekanu. They both are a group of people buying with shared funds. Can the Yotzei the mitzvah with it or not? The Rajba does not learn like that. Now, I want to go back to a Rambam, and I want to think about, if you were to try to conceptualize the Rambam, does the Rambam learn like the Rajba, or does the Rambam learn like the Rif? So I might want to be the Rambam again and try to make a few diukim. Says the Rambam, Shutfim Shekanu love, as b'shutfis. Ain't achar mehen Yotzei bo. No, it's Yotzei, yidei chavas b'rishon, ad sheyitin lo chelka matana. Period. End of sentence. Next sentence, Acham Shekanu as B'tfisa Bayis. So I want to be medayek in the Rambam that perhaps the Rambam learns like the Rashba. Why? First of all, Shutfin and Acham Shekanu, Lafi the Rambam, are two separate things. If the Rambam learned like the Rif, then that wouldn't be true. If the Rambam learned the Rif, then there wouldn't be set up in those two separate clauses. There'd be the same thing because Rif learned mixed this equation. Let's read the Rambam further. But now the note to Acham Nehen as Yatzabel. Im Yochel Ochlo, Vina Acham Afkidim Mekach, Yatza. Nehan Yomokpidim Lo Yatza, Ajin Ulo, Ajin Ulo, Chalkamatana. Kana is the Esrog of a Zaporish or Shiknu, Keacha together, as Gavrimo to Parish, Trisa Bias, and he owes to the Esrog Ajin Ulo, Chalkamatana. Vav Bish and Achlo, and Mafkidim Olaf. Now, we asked around previously, what's a svara? If we're not makbid, why do I have to give it to matana? So if you learn that the Rambam learns like the Rashba, which does not equate the Acham Shekanu to Shutfin, could say as follows: the Rambam learned they bought it la'achila, and therefore what? If they bought it la'achila, then what? Then, very nice, I'm not makbid on your achila, but what? But my lack of pedis on your achila should not indicate whether or not you're yotz the mitzvah within or not. The achila, perhaps we had a diet in the achikanu that we could both eat it, etc. But that should not indicate whether I have esrog or not. Why? Because Blamaisa was shutzim, and we didn't buy it to be yotz with it. How we bought it to be yotz with it? It would have been pashit that, right? That perhaps like the Rashba that you're yotz. We bought it achila, and because you bought it achila, even though you're not makbid on the achila, don't indicate whether or not these shutzim can use this esrog for the mitzvah. And that's what I want to say in the Rambam, and I just want to feed that. I want to point out two things. Number one, there is a Mag Mishnah on this. The Mag Mishnah is a different svara than me. He says that I guess along the lines as follows. He says that this individual that when there's a parish rimon, then you can't rely on the stam mechila. And therefore, even though you're not makbid, you can't really rely on that. Therefore, you have to be always macham and give them a matana. That's the Maggid Mishnah says. I guess my question was, why should that make sense? Especially the Ram does say they're not makbid, meaning it seems to be clear here they're not makbid. So what more chumrah is there? But that I just want to put that out there just for honesty's sake. And well, if you would I said the Rambam, I want to read this back in the Rambam to show how we're going to have to read the Rambam a little differently now. If you what I said. What says the Rambam, Ha'achman shekanu ask which feeds the bites, v'notu acham mehen as v'yatzabo. Im yochel ochlo, if you're able to eat it, kama ve'en achem afkinim mekach. What's mafkinim mekach going on? It's going on not the makbid on the achila, because Rabbi said the achila does not indicate whether or not you are going to be yotz the mitzvah or not. Rather, what it means is vein acham means they're not makbid on their actual usage. Then yatsa, and if they're makbid on their actual usage, even though you're able to eat it, lo yatsa, achinu chalakam matana, right? And the Ram goes on. If you're esrog, for even a parish, it's fisa bias, and yotze besrog, achinu lo chalakam matana. Even though Shim Achlo ain't Makina love, why does that make sense? So he said why? Because even though we're not makbid on the achila, doesn't matter because we bought a achila, we didn't buy it to be yotze with it, and therefore maybe you don't have a for the lechem on it because the ma'isa klape the idea of yotze with it. We are for shutzim, and shutzim can't be they're not for lechem. I'm only allowed you to use it. Klape what we bought it for, and we didn't buy it for the mitzvah. That is what I wanted to say in the Rambam to have the hezber in this Rambam, and I just want to bring out this point a little bit more because obviously if it's not like a Maggid Mishnah, I just wanted to show this how this perhaps is not so crazy to say, because if you look in the Mechaber, so the Mechaber brings the halacha down, and the Mechaber, this is in Hilchas Lulav, Simin Tuf Reish Nun Ches in Orach Chaim, and the Mechaber in Halacha Vav. So the Mechaber says, Shutvim Shekanu Lulav Asum Shutvis. That's the Mechaber. Okay? Separate halacha. And we're looking at Zion and the Beragola on this Mechaber. Beragola quotes, member to Rabbi Huna Bava Basra, Vehevu Harif, Varash Paragimel, the Sukkah, the Chenkasev Ramban, but not the Rambam. The Beragola does not quote the Rambam. And halacha ches, the Mechaber says as follows: Ha'acham shekanu asuk b'tfisa bayis, notu echam mehem yasuk v'yatzibah. Im yachlach lo, in acham afnim b'kach yatsa, yavakin lo yatsa. Ajnu chagam antana. V'im kana as asuk v'zeh parish or shenu ke'echad asuk v'im v'parish b'tfisa bayis. And yotzei be'esuk ajnu chagam antana v'al b'shem echla and makinim alav. So the Mechaber quotes the idea of Shut from Shekanu and Acham Shekanu as two separate halachos. And who does the Beragola quote in the Acham Shekanu halacha? He quotes Girsa Rif, Sham, the Ran, V'chein Kasv Rambam. So it seems like, how I understand this Mechaber, that the Mechaber A understands that the idea of Shutfim and Acham Shekanu are two separate ideas. Number one. Number two, the Beragola does not quote the Rambam by Shutfim, so the Beragola must understand the Rambam does not derive Shutfim from our Gemara Bava Basra. So the Rambam would then, you could then pair the Rambam like the Rajba, because the Rambam does not derive Shutfim from our Gemara. And Acham Shekanu, he does quote the Rambam, so that perhaps is Majuk. And furthermore, if you look in the Mishnah Berurah here, on Sifkan Lawan Gimel, the first Mishnah Berurah on this Simon Meches, he says, Acham Shekanu Esrogim, says the Mishnah Berurah La'achila, they barna La'achila. So the Mishnah Berurah understands the Mechaber from the very beginning that the Acham Shekanu Bad Esrog La'achila and not La Mitzvah, right? Mishnah Berurah does not say La Mitzvah, he says La'achila. Therefore, perhaps in the Meduik, what this Mahalach and the Rambam is that they're arguing, and that's the hesber, meaning the idea that even though we bar l'achila, doesn't matter. The achila, my lack of paydas on the achila won't indicate whether or not you're able to be yotz the mitzvah or not. That is that I think could bring out this point a little bit more. I think one loose end that has to be tied is the Rif, because the Maisa, the Rif does have the girsa of Tosfos, but does not learn like the Rambam, because the Rif does learn from our Gemara that there's that he equates Acham Shekanu to Shutfim. So how does Rif learn Dafka Parish? You can't learn this Chiddush Din of the Rambam that even though I'm not on Achila, does not want to indicate anything about your mitzvah, because already the Rif learns that Shutfim are Acham Shekanu, so therefore they bought it the mitzvah. So you have to say probably the Rif learns the Tosfos. The Rif will have the girsa of the Rambam and Tosfos, but the Rif will learn the Gemara like Tosfos, that the Gemara is just sort of giving an indicator as to whether or not I am okay with your achila or not okay with achila. And that I think is perhaps the mahalach that I wanted to say. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Eli.
All right. Thanks.